ready to launch. Here we go. Hey everyone, welcome back to Topher Drives, where today we are at Kauth Mayeur in Peoria, Illinois, where I've already had a very busy day filming cars. I've done an E-Type Jag and a W116 450 SEL 6.9, but now it's time to break for lunch, and the owner here at Kauth Mayeur tossed me the key fob to his 2021 Tesla Model S Plaid. And you guys know, I always say this when I film an EV, I don't feature a lot of them on the channel because I'm just not that interested. But this one is different because if you've been in any YouTube or Instagram or Facebook comment section of any sort of fast car doing an acceleration, there will always be a comment saying the Tesla Model S Plaid is cheaper and faster. And well, I've never driven a Model S Plaid, and there's so much hype surrounding this car, I figured it was time that I gave it a shot. So again, today, thanks to Kauth Mayeur in Peoria, Illinois, we're gonna experience kind of what it's like to live with this, because we're gonna go out to some back roads and push it just a little bit. And then we're gonna come back to town, get some lunch, and feed all of my friends here that have been tossing me keys to some truly amazing stuff. But before we get into that, I wanna talk some basics with this. A lot of you know this car. This particular one is a 2021, so this had a little bit of a higher MSRP, but it did actually have the full self-driving beta, which has since turned in to the full self-driving. So we're going to experience that today. I know the Topher did that in a Cybertruck, and I'm excited to see what that's all about in this Model S Plaid. But this goes beyond being a Tesla, beyond having the full self-driving. This thing is bonkers. It has 3 electric motors, combined power output 1,020 horsepower and 1,050 pound-feet of torque. It weighs almost 5,000 pounds, just under, about 4,800. And the big thing with this is it's able to do 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds. It's been rated at, I think it's 1.9. I mean, in the real world, it's probably somewhere in the mid-2s, and we'll see what we can do today with this. But the owner, Michael, has had this car since 2021. He's daily driven it. It's got 26,000 miles on it. You can see he's fitted these tasteful aftermarket wheels because he got it with the base wheels that are the smaller option, and he's kind of just made it his own. And the Model S Plaid is now gone. Tesla has killed the Model S and Model X in favor of building robots. So in a way, I feel a little bit sad because although this is kind of anti-supercar, anti-raw driving feel, it's super cool in its own way of just breaking all of these barriers that shouldn't be possible. A big 5,000 pound sedan able to do 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds is just nuts. And you can see Michael plays into this with this little sticker he's got under the Plaid badge, which is very understated here on these cars. My other car is slower, indeed. Also, great plate, Car Doctor 5, and he really is. If we open up the trunk on this thing here, which I actually probably have to open this with the key fob because I don't have my phone paired with this, so I'm using this little fob in this tasteful leather case. You can see he's got some quarter windows for a classic Porsche in the back here, so we'll try and be nice to these and not break those while we're driving. But anyway, just goes to show, this is the daily driver, and it does all the stuff. Now, beyond being a liftback, it also has an frunk, which I don't really think is used too much because the rest of the car is pretty big anyway, so you don't really need it. In fact, the only thing in here is a set of front license plate screws, which we'll put right back in there, and those will never be used, I suppose, because the front end of this car is nice and clean and sleek. And I think a lot of the negative press around these cars does surround the build quality, and considering that this is a pretty early car as far as Plaids go, it'll be interesting to see what that's like. Now, obviously Model S existed well before 2021, but it evolved along the way. It got a little bit wider, it got a little bit sexier, and I think this is kind of, obviously, not kind of, it is peak Model S. So we'll jump into the back, where this does actually have rear proxy key. You can see this one is fitted with the white interior. This is actually quite nice as well. Okay, so here's what I didn't super get with these cars. Now, when you see lower trim Teslas, you always see them with just kind of that matte, very solid finish material. But this one's a bit nicer. It's got perforated seats. It's got seat switches on the side. You can actually adjust these pretty easily. And you can hear this is absolutely blasting the climate control right now. I do want to jump in the back seat though, and just show you guys what room is like before we get out onto the road. This is my favorite thing I found in this so far, is the Model S Plaid Hot Wheels car. Even with these seats all the way back, you kind of get the sense of what this interior is like. You've got this full display back here where you can control your climate. This is on auto right now. You've got games back here. You can watch movies, you can watch YouTube, you could pull up Topher drives back here if you wanted to. There's all kinds of stuff. And I know a lot of people say Tesla is luxury, and yes, I get it, but really, Tesla's a tech company. All of the tech stuff in here should work flawlessly. So let's jump up front and let's give it a shot. As far as the doors go, those actually feel pretty nice. Now we're gonna have to adjust this because every time I get in, it's going to default to Michael's seating position. So we are going to move this up and not save the changes because we don't want to mess with the profile. What I am gonna mess with though is the climate control, because I think if we boost this up to a warmer temperature, it will stop blowing so heavily. And you can also adjust this, put that into low. You can also adjust where all the vents are blowing. I'm probably gonna leave that alone because I don't want to screw up anything here. We are gonna turn the heated seat and heated steering wheel off though. There are things to talk about in here, and this car kind of goes against what a lot of us car enthusiasts like in cars, because it has very little buttons, especially in the middle. It just has this big infotainment system, which does just about everything, including putting the car into gear, which you'll see once we get going. In fact, the only buttons that you really have lay on the second most controversial, or actually this might be the most controversial part of this car, and that is the yoke steering wheel. I don't know, do you even call it a steering wheel? I guess it does go all the way around. Newer Plaids have the regular round steering wheel, but when this came out, the yoke was all the hype, and Tesla was really pushing this. But the weird thing about the yoke is it still has the same steering ratio as a car with a round wheel. So it's a little bit awkward. We'll show you what that's like once we get out on the road. But some of the time, if you have the full self-driving in the car, you really don't have to worry about this because you're not touching it anyway. No turn signal stalks. That exists on the steering wheel as well. Full pano roof in this. It is tinted. I think that looks quite nice because I don't like when they don't have shades, but at least if you have some tint to it, it will do you well. Right, so I was very briefly briefed on how to actually work the Model S Plaid, and as far as I know, as soon as you put your seatbelt on, it prompts you to go into gear. Okay, and then it's gonna memory reset to Michael's driving position, so we're gonna reset this again. But the car assumes that you wanna go into reverse first, and we do actually have some room behind us here for us to go into reverse. But I wonder if I do this and then brake, will it then prompt me to go into drive? Either way, whatever. You can do this manually with this little bit on the screen, which is just so funny. You slide up to go into drive, which I don't know, for some reason in my mind, this would have been the other way. I would have assumed you slide down to go into drive. However, if you see the little icon here is the top view of the car. So sliding it up is sliding it forward, which I suppose makes sense. So otherwise, this just drives like any other EV, except for sometimes it feels like you're steering with a laptop because the yoke is just a bit awkward. But something that I think is cool, and something that reminds me of driving a Lamborghini, is having these turn signal buttons on the steering wheel. All right, so we're gonna get this out of the city. Or I guess this isn't really the city, this is more so like the suburbs of the city. And we're gonna get out to the country a little bit more. We'll do a couple full throttle runs because this is a Plaid at the end of the day, and I feel like, should we stab the throttle real quick? Oh, okay, yeah. The essence of the quick EV, I feel like, was born with the Model S Plaid. Everyone's been trying to catch this since it came out, and some people have gotten close. In fact, I would say some maybe have even surpassed it. The Lucid Air Sapphire is one that comes to mind. I haven't driven that, but the only one I can really think of is the Porsche Taycan Turbo GT, which is the fastest thing I've ever driven and is nauseating, but this feels like it gets pretty dang close, to be honest. Oh, yeah. No, this does the same sort of thing where you sort of teleport in front of you. You don't accelerate, you just are there. It's just nuts. All right, so let's try and do the FSD first. We'll get that out of the way just because I want to see what that's all about. I've always been curious, and then we'll talk more about performance. Now this will just drive me home. To me, this is sort of the way if you're not a fan of the yoke. And by the way, Tesla has since reached out to owners that have these older Model S Plaids and offered to replace the yoke. Oh, we're going. Okay. Turning right on red. Right. Tesla has reached out to owners of these cars and offered to put regular round wheels on them, but the owner of this car is a yoke guy, self-proclaimed. So he kept it, which I kind of respect. You know, it's weird, but you've got that level of uniqueness with that car, and it's kind of the staple. You know, if you have a Plaid, you got to have the yoke. So that's just the deal with this car. But there are different settings with this full self-driving. This is in hurry mode. Now, this full self-driving mode you can get to in the autopilot menu. This owner has this set to hurry mode, which means it'll do things like roll stop signs and turn right on red and go a little bit over the speed limit. You can see it's going 46 and a 40 right now. But I love how sort of sentient it is in that way, that it can like drive like a normal person in that way. A number of other settings in here, which we can show you because the car is doing the driving. You've got suspension mode and multiple ways to adjust this. You can adjust the dampers, put them in a comfort, auto, sport, or advanced, and you can also adjust the ride height. Now, Michael rides with this in comfort mode, low ride height, which I respect. It's probably what I would do as well, because you get the street cred with the low looks of the car, but also damping and comfort, so I like that. Charging is all done at home, so he just plugs this in the garage, and you know, it's a pretty short commute to work and back, so he does all of that stuff with no problem. There are just so many settings in here. This is in day mode right now, so all this is bright, but he's got it in auto, so it'll go into its dark mode at night as well. So something I've noticed here is, since this is full self-driving, this will not yell at you for not having your eyes on the road. Okay, car pulling out in front. The Tesla is unfazed. Also, I gotta say, I love this display on here. You've got this confirming that you're in FSD with the little blue yoke there with the green indication, and then you also have turn signal cameras. Obviously, there's lots of cameras around this car to be able to do all that it needs to do, but the fact that it displays them to you is nice, and super high def stuff. You've got the little nav screen over here, which is a bit redundant with this screen, but I'm just bewildered by this right now. I don't know that it avoids potholes. Seems like it's doing okay. Okay, so it's gonna pass. I wonder what its etiquette is like as far as like driving in the left lane. I mean, we're not on a highway right now, so we don't super have to worry about that, but I wonder if it's gonna pass this Hyundai and then jump back over to the right or not, because it's gonna turn left in 3.5 miles. Okay, it looks like we're chilling here in the left lane. Oh, nope, it's getting back over. How about that? Okay, yellow light, we're coming up. My feet are off the pedals, guys. I'm not... I mean, you know FSD by now, right? It's been a thing for a minute. Oh, this is just the coolest. As far as other amenities go in this interior, you've got 2 wireless chargers, which are wrapped in Alcantara, so I like that. You know, this car, it goes against so many things that I like, but I'll say this. If you're gonna screenify everything, the car should be able to drive itself. And in this case, it does. So there's really not much for me to complain about like I normally do, because you're not distracted, because the car is driving. So you don't need to be paying 100%. Obviously, you should be paying attention because the computer can make an error. but there's less of a risk for you to get into an accident if you're fiddling with something in the screen when the car is just driving itself. I love the way we're the quickest car off the line too. It'd be funny if you could program a mode in here that was don't let anybody beat me off the line, and it would drag race people on its own if you wanted it to. That would be really funny. Let's talk comfort, because we wanted to talk about build quality here in this Model S Plaid, and I haven't really noticed anything glaringly terrible in this, or really glaringly bad at all. Like we said, this has been daily driven for the last 5 years. I mean, the seat's not even wrinkled. So I don't know what sort of material they use on these Model S seats. I know the lower trim cars are synthetic leather. These probably are too, because as nice as regular leather is, it does deteriorate over time. And these seats have just held up so well. I have seen a lot of these cars with yokes that peel. This sort of leatherette material peels off the top. But this one seems to be okay. I don't know if maybe those were earlier cars that were affected, but this one is completely fine. Another impressive thing about this full self-driving is the way that it's able to modulate all of the inputs so smoothly. I know the car knows itself super well, so it can do that sort of thing, but it's just so relaxing. Like in my mind, I'm in the driver's seat, but also I feel like I'm in the passenger seat and I'm just with a really good driver. There are also full drive modes in this car as well. You can see that Michael has this set up so acceleration is in Plaid, steering weight is in heavy, which we might actually try out light steering weight when we actually drive this on the way back, just because I'm curious how that is. Okay, this has now got to do a merge, and it actually elected to go behind this guy. Okay. But you can also put it into drag strip mode. Now, I don't know if this kills FSD. It doesn't. Okay, good. All right, so we've now got this in drag strip mode. This will precondition the battery so we can do a proper launch. I mean, it'll do a launch either way, but if you want to run your 9-second quarter mile, you have to have this preconditioned in drag strip mode. But I like that you can kind of just put this in whatever setting you want, and the full self-driving just doesn't care. It's just doing its thing. It's hurrying. Now, this is not a very challenging environment for this car to be able to full self-drive. Obviously, if you were in a city or something, it would have to be negotiating lots of other factors like buses and pedestrians and buses. But out here, you know, it's in the country, and it's probably just twiddling its thumbs, saying that's all you got. Oh my God, it's going 13 over the speed limit. What happens if you get pulled over? Can you say, wasn't me? What a lovely thing to live with. If you're someone that doesn't fancy driving, which you probably do if you have a Model S Plaid, but you know, outside of a Plaid, you can get full self-driving in other Tesla vehicles. What a cool thing to not have to drive. All you have to do is sit here. All right, we're coming up to a left-hander, and we still have 4 minutes remaining on our preconditioning, so I think this will actually be a good time to pull over and place my food order for everybody while we're on this very empty cornfield road. We'll see. So we've got cars coming. We got tons of room, though, so I imagine this will probably make the turn. Yes, it will. Okay. Lovely. Alrighty, we've jumped a little bit ahead in time. I pulled over and ordered the food and everything, and we've switched the destination now to the bar and grill that we're picking up food from, which is about 7 miles from here. And now I want to get away from this residential area because drag strip mode has loaded, peak performance is ready, which means we can now do a proper launch with this car. And it actually gives you a how-to. There's a how to launch menu in this. You can click on that, which basically is just full brake, full gas, release brake, as far as I can tell. So let's try that real quick. Okay, it's getting all hunkered down, preparing for launch. Suspension entering cheetah stance. Okay, it's still not ready. Preparing for launch. Ready to launch. Here we go. Oh. Should have had heart rate pulled up on my watch. Oh my goodness. What a thing. I'd say it's pretty on par with that Taycan. It's different though, because this is a big heavy thing. And I know the Taycan is heavy too, but the Taycans, they feel light. They still have that Porsche feeling. And this is a much larger vehicle. And feeling it go at that rate of speed is just unreal. And it's still in peak performance, so I can still go. I don't know how you own this car and don't just spam the controls constantly. I'll say this about it. This is some of the best one-pedal driving tuning I've ever felt in any car. I mean, it just does the thing exactly how you want it. I'm going to toggle my steering into light just because I'm curious. Okay, so now we're in Plaid mode, steering's in light, and we're driving this ourselves. Now, if I get tired of steering this, I can literally just push this and it'll drive. I guess there's no point in me driving it right now because we're on this straight road for 2.5 miles. So we'll let the car do the work as I regain myself from teleporting. Now, do I think this car is a replacement for something like a Revuelto or a Turbo S? No, I don't. I think this is something that goes alongside, and that's okay. But where I struggle is when people say, oh, well, the Model S Plaid would beat that. Yes, it would. Obviously, it would. But a lot of those other cars, that's not really the point. This car does a great job at going fast in a straight line. It's insanely impressive as a daily driver. It makes everything very easy, and that's what it does well. Now, do I get a raw driving experience like I'd get in an old air-cooled 911 in this car? No, but that's where this slots into the garage. You kind of have this additionally. That's my opinion of this car anyway. I think this car is great as a daily driver, and I think it's great as an accessory to other enthusiast cars, because as an enthusiast, you can absolutely appreciate this. But do I get the full fizz that I would rowing gears in an older driver's car? Definitely not. I love the way this is driving. It's so sentient. And up to this perfectly with just beautiful one-pedal drive, even though I'm not the one operating the pedals. Those are quite pretty pedals, actually. And you can actually see them move. You can see it just came off the brake there to go again. Ride quality in this is pretty good. Now, it's a larger wheel on this car, so you're going to have some of those imperfections from these expansion joints and things that you feel, but as far as, like, again, getting back to build quality, it does feel okay in this. I'm not blown away like I would be in a Mercedes, or I was going to say a Porsche, but I don't know that new Porsche interiors are really anything better than this. Not to say that this Tesla is bad. Interesting, that was just red. But I think people have this misconception of the standard that they hold Tesla to, and I think it's because of the price. You know, this was at the time a $150,000 car. These days they're about $120,000. You can get a depreciated 2021 Model S similar to this for about $60,000. So I get the whole expectation of this being a luxury car, and in ways it is, but it's luxury in the way of convenience more, and speed, and just the ease of all that it does. But it's not really luxury in the way that it's the plushiest seat I've ever felt, or the most exquisite dashboard I've ever seen. So you kind of have to think of these cars differently, and I always think of Tesla as a tech company. And even more proof of this is the fact that they don't even make this car anymore because they want to make robots. But if you look at it that way, it does make a lot more sense. I kind of found myself just driving this with one hand because there's not really anywhere else for your other hand to go. You do definitely have to be careful with the acceleration around areas like this because people just simply are not going to be expecting you to be coming at that high rate of speed. But Yeah, I don't know, steering weight, we'll put this back. I don't want to mess with his settings too much. I don't really notice a huge difference as far as steering weight from light to heavy. It's a little bit, but what does it matter when the car's just driving for you? I'd probably have it in light. It'd be easier to gauge, I think, if this had a traditional steering wheel on it. Well, hey, I'll tell you what, as far as living with this goes, easiest car I've ever lived with. Just, you don't have to do anything. Can you do U-turns in Illinois? Don't know. Okay, oh, we're cutting the, oh, sorry. We did cut over the line a bit there. Interestingly, though, it turned into the closest lane and then got over, which is, I suppose, proper fashion. Not the best roads around here. But like I said, suspension in this copes pretty well. I think if you had the factory wheel on this, it would ride even better, but then you wouldn't have the street cred of the cool aftermarket wheels. With Tesla center caps, which I do appreciate that touch, because it does make it look OEM plus. All right, so it knows it's gonna have to sort of yield here, but it's gonna, okay, yep. There you go. It knows. I don't have to question it. All right, canceling FSD, just because I do want to drive this a little bit more. Truthfully, I just want to be spamming the accelerator everywhere. And it's just this sort of like mundane stuff where it is nice to just hit that full self-driving button and let the car do it. But if you are driving this, I mean, ergonomically, it's fine. Your elbow rests are comfy, the seat quality is pretty nice, and visibility out of this is quite okay as well. In fact, you've got a heck of a lot of front board visibility because there's no steering wheel. Not that a steering wheel is always going to impede your vision. I did give it a little bit of a late warning there, but it compensated that pretty well. I feel like it's easier to just have it full self-drive instead of having to put the turn signal on. I have hit these turn signal buttons a couple of times and they haven't sensed my input because they're a little bit more of a haptic than they are like an actual button that pushes. So it's the only complaint I have in this as far as buttons go. Oh, please see that curb. So where's it gonna park? Oh, in a handicap spot. Good. Halfway into a handicap spot. All right, well, we're gonna not do that. So we'll go park this ourselves somewhere. But it's okay. It's all part of the experience. Okay, we're gonna park this way in the back so nobody touches us. I don't know if you guys can tell how awkward I'm being with my hands with this yoke, but that's okay. All right, we're good. Let's get this backed into a spot. I do actually want to see like the whole functionality of cameras and stuff. Oh, obviously they're very good. Let's see how good of a job I do at parking. This will park itself in a spot you tell it to park in when you're not in full self-driving. And you've got this 360 camera of sorts. Tap to park. There we go. That's parked. Okay. And then this doesn't have a stop-start button, so you just take the seatbelt off. This puts me back into a very relaxed driving position. And then you hit this little haptic button on the door. And that's it. You're done. So, all right, I'm going to run in and grab our food. This will, I suspect, lock itself as we walk away, but if not, we can use the key fob here. Yep, it's just going to lock itself as we walk away. Okay, easy enough. All right, well, I'm going to run in and grab some food, and then we'll wrap this one up. Walking back up to the Model S Plaid, it's actually already unlocked itself before I can get close to it, which I'm glad because my hands are completely full of food. So we're gonna treat this interior as nicely as possible and not put any of the food on the seats. And we'll just kind of use this passenger footwell and we'll fit everything in there perfectly. All right, let's jump back around to the driver's side and we will get going. It's only about a 2-minute drive back to the shop, so we'll just go ahead and wrap this one up and just give more kudos to this car, I suppose. All right, off we go to Kauth Mayeur. Will this pull me out of the parking lot? It will. Okay, well, I said I was gonna do some driving in here, but the full self, I'm just bewildered by this full self-driving. So this is just the reality of this video. And people can't make fun of me looking like an idiot trying to steer with the yoke. There you go, out of the parking lot. Okay, so I think we've mostly summed this up already, but the biggest compliment I can give to this car is it sort of unlocks a new realm for enthusiasts. And like I said, this sits off to the side. This is not a replacement for a driver's car, but it's an addition, a fun addition for somebody that may just want raw speed. And I understand that, you know, raw speed, good technology, build quality feels like it's gotten better. I've been in some older Teslas and they rattled like crazy, but this one's fine. This one doesn't really seem to rattle at all. I haven't noticed anything anyway. So it's been well, I've been in this thing for about an hour at this point, I think. It's been great, and I get it. I've gotten the experience, and I can see why people have these cars with full self-driving. It makes sense to me. Headliner's Alcantara too, just noticed that. But that's just about going to wrap it up for us. Let me know if you guys have any questions about this car. Actually going to kill this because I want to do one more. Oh, should I do a poll with the food? I think it'll survive. It'll be fine. We'll do like half throttle. That is literally half throttle. This thing is just unbelievable. All right, let's make our last turn. I'm gonna forget how to steer any other car now that I've been steering this thing. But we'll get this parked back up at Kauth Mayeur. We'll give them another shout out, as they've provided me with some seriously cool stuff to drive today. If you guys are in the Peoria area and you have a European or any sort of enthusiast car, I mean, they'll work on anything, but you can see the sort of stuff they work on here demonstrated by what's parked out front. Will this do the auto parking? Center steering wheel. There we go. All right, so this should park now in a spot itself. Oh. Okay, we're straightening out. There you go. There it is. It's mostly straight. Okay. That's parked. Alrighty guys, well that's going to do it for us today in the Tesla Model S Plaid. Thank you all again so much for watching. And thanks again to Kauth Mayeur and Michael, the owner, for letting me take this just insane piece of engineering out on the road and see what it was like to live with. So let me know again if you guys have any questions about this, but that'll be a wrap for this one. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care. I got to get food out of there. Hopefully this unlocks itself. Okay, take care.